October 30th, 2022. It takes us right through the first part of November, the first week in November at any rate. And at this point in time, good to take little chunks of things as we go along. The big news this week, of course, is the start of the week where we have on Sunday, Mars stationing to go retrograde in Gemini. Now, around Mars stations, and you can feel this from Thursday, Friday onwards, right around Mars stations, tend to have a lot of martial feeling, a lot of anger things can come up, not for you, but for other people, maybe for you. Anger issues can come up. Little things can just be very annoying. And Gemini, I would think anything having to do with driving, but there could be things in communication that are quite annoying to you. Just little things that get under your skin. And it's just, things that wouldn't normally bother you might be a little bit more bothersome. So give yourself some space. Mars stations also put us a little bit of pressure to do things. You want to do something, you want to accomplish something. That's what Mars is all about, going forward. It's not a great time, and yet you want to so much. So you want to go forward, and yet you feel you're being pulled back, or you're being pulled to a stop. Not a very easy situation to deal with. So be aware that it may not be all that smooth sailing on the weekend, despite the fact that well, by the time you see this, on Saturday and Sunday, the 30th, and then going to the 31st, we actually have some pretty nice aspects that go all the way through Thursday, where we have harmonious aspects between the Sun and Venus and Mercury and Juno. Should be very good for communication and just generally working things out in terms of partnership. That's Scorpio energy, the intensity of Scorpio, which can kind of add to some sense of frustration and anger too, works well with Juno, partnership asteroid Juno out there in Pisces, now moving direct, kind of helping things to flow along a little bit. So you might get some communication going, particularly in the area of relationship. And this time I'm not saying and or finance. No, this is really going to be a relationship kind of thing. So in some areas, things could be chugging along pretty well. That martial energy pulling backwards, it's hard to avoid. Then we have the first quarter moon. The first quarter moon comes up on Tuesday, and that is in the sign of Aquarius. It's an active period of time, a time, again, when we're pushed to put things into action, particularly it's text. Just keep texting. Why don't these people just I was just fooling her. That was a setup right there. I mean, I knew that there were text would have to come in during the course of this video. So all right, come on, cut it out. Enough is enough. But it was the idea was I texted someone, I knew I'd get a reply fairly soon. Anyway, what was I talking about? First quarter moon. Again, you want to put things into action. Not so easy to put things into action with Mars retrograde. It's focusing, perhaps, it's a big thing with the election in the US, and we might hear things about the election in Brazil. I think the second election day is on Sunday, the 30th. So you might get the results, perhaps, at the first quarter moon on Tuesday. I expect that would be a pretty interesting result, given the fact that it happens on a Mars station, although the US election, we'll talk about that next week. Then moving forward, again, relationship energy is kind of in focus as Venus will oppose Uranus, and that happens on Friday, or Saturday to be exact, but you feel the energy Friday, Saturday. Venus-Uranus energy changes. You want to mix things up. You want to a different person, or perhaps you just want to break up the routine. You're looking for something to be a little different. You want to enliven and freshen up your relationships. Venus and Uranus have, sort of contentious relationship, but Uranus and Venus is not happy in Scorpio, but Uranus is in her home sign of Taurus, We do have this, the first quarter moon is behind us. It's Aquarius. So we do have a little bit more chance for harmony than we might otherwise with this aspect. So it's a good time to sort of mix things up, break out of the box, try something a little different. Also, too, in terms of aesthetics, and also, too, in terms of the markets. I would look Thursday, Friday while the markets are open to see if there aren't some bouncy things happening at that point in time. There have been a lot of bouncy things happening anyway. And then the opening up of possibilities that we see with that Venus Uranus aspect at the end of the week into Saturday is quickly, this is really for next week, but we might as well put it together. It is quickly followed by Venus squaring Saturn. And so this is like opening up the possibilities and making a quick decision. Considering that we could do a lot of different things and then saying, but it's going to be this. So I would say that the weekend, I mean, we're approaching the eclipse. They've got this Venus Uranus thing. I would say the early part of the weekend, that is the weekend of the 4th and 5th, would be probably it's going to probably be more fun than the back half of the weekend. So I would, get out on Friday night, maybe make it an early weekend on Thursday night, as long as you don't get too potatoed, you can still make it to work on Friday. Or take the day off, Venus, Uranus, you're looking for a little bit of freedom. All right, we'll be back with next week's forecast, next week. And then we'll talk about the full moon lunar eclipse conjunct Uranus on the US election day.